How big can I get my heart to be?
Thought Media Network proudly presents
How much love can I get flowing out of me?
The Real Talk Sisters. Deep, unfiltered, soulful conversations with Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, Reverend Kim Andrews, and Reverend Melinda Wood Allen.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Join us for Real Talk on Real Issues, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain. And now, let's join the Real Talk Sisters.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
We're
everybody.
back. Kim never left, but we did.
Well, it's wonderful to have you both back with me. I missed you dearly, so this is great.
I missed you both too.
Yes. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on the show. Got a great one for you, of course. And I was looking at our title, Deep, Unfiltered, Soulful Conversations. I tell you, the unfiltered part is true.
Unfortunately, sometimes
Yeah.
unfiltered and uncensored.
Okay. Yeah. So you're gonna hear it from us today. Yeah.
Put
So
on your
I'm
seatbelt.
Reverend Melinda Wood Allen from the Church of One Love in Dallas, Texas.
And I'm Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley from Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth.
And I am Kim Andrews, spiritual leader at Unity Saxe in Saxe, Texas.
Yay. And glad to be here with you. Been back from our trip to Thailand, and it was wonderful. I missed you guys a couple times, so glad to be back.
So Pjae went to Thailand. I went to the hospital. My husband fell and broke his femur and ended up getting a total hip replacement. So I've been staying in the hospital with him while he is going through his recovery. And I'm happy to report that he's doing a lot better. He's still in the rehab hospital, but hopefully will come home by the end of this week and doing enough better that I felt comfortable leaving his side to be here with you.
And we appreciate you so much for that. Thank you.
We do.
Yeah.
And I'm doing well. Life is good. Things are progressing at my center. Our numbers are up again, and that's wonderful. Everything's good at home, and life is good.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of all there is to do, and all I feel like I am called to be sometimes. And I used to kick and scream at that a lot more in previous months, and now I'm just kind of easing into it and saying, okay, all right.
Yeah.
We got this. All right.
This is who I am. This
Yeah.
is who I am. Okay.
Yeah. And fighting it was just taking away my energy for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good segue into this discussion about overwhelm and how do we journey from that to conscious choice?
Yeah.
How do we dig deeper within ourselves to find what I believe is always there, which is more, because we are powerful spiritual beings, which means there is infinite strength, resilience, power, ideas, imagination, whatever it is that we need. I believe it's there. And I say that to myself, and it's interesting when I get in these moments of or phases of overwhelm that sometimes I have to remind myself of that.
Absolutely.
And my choice, conscious choice, has always been, do I want to go there?
Right.
Do I want to go there?
Yeah. And to make that conscious choice, you really need to know, who you are. I mean, that when I talk about this a lot, just what are your values and what are you about? So what do you really believe, who you want to show up as? And so as we're going and making these conscious choices, it really helps that you know that you're making a conscious choice for you, for your beliefs, for what you stand for. And so knowing that really helps during these times as well. So I know, Melinda, you had something you wanted to share.
I was just starting to say, it really depends on what kind of overwhelm. Is it the kind of overwhelm that I have overscheduled myself into needlessly?
Correct.
Or is it the kind of overwhelm where this is just what life is right now?
Exactly.
It's just what life is right now. It's not easy. It's difficult. So part of conscious choice is to let go of what's let goable.
Yes.
Like, these when I get to that place, I have to go, now, wait a minute.
Hang on.
Really don't feel like you have the energy to do all this, or you don't want to expend that much energy for things that aren't all top priority.
Correct.
Then look at what can be let go or postponed to another time.
Yes.
And focus on those things that you really, once again, knowing who you are and what your values are, focus on those things that you really are choosing to give your time, attention, energy, power to.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know, the last couple of weeks with some of the things I've had to contend with, the question for me was, is this situation a facet of my life, or is it my whole life? How big do I want this to be in my experience? And so I've really had to sit down and thought, okay, I could make this big, and it does feel weighty and big right now, but is it just a facet of my life? And if so, how do I continue to navigate life with this extra thing, this extra situation? Do I need to make space for it? How do I make space for me within that? And so my mantra has changed from I am a powerful spiritual being to I am an infinitely powerful spiritual being. So I got to go there. I got to go the extra step and say, okay, I kind of was at that glass ceiling for myself.
Yes.
And I thought, all right, I'm going to have to knock through this glass ceiling because I need more.
Yeah.
I need more right now. Yeah. And I know there is more. Well, rationally, I know there's more. I say I believe that. And so in this moment of conscious choice, am I going to look to harness that?
Yeah.
And what might that look like? But the first thing for me was, how much space does this take in my life?
Correct.
What will I allow? What don't I want to allow?
Absolutely.
How much space do I decide to give it?
Right.
Yeah. Because we do get to decide, don't we?
We absolutely do.
And I probably lived the first 30 years of my life thinking that wasn't true.
Right. And man, that is a big thing to know, that it is your decision. Mm-hmm. And you know, there's some things in my life, I'm not going to go too far into it at this point, but where I realized I wasn't making a conscious decision for it. I was making a decision from the stories that I believed, that I was told, that, you know, that surround me. And I said, oh, that's what we do.
Unconscious.
That's what we do. Exactly. And I didn't realize I thought it was a conscious choice, but it wasn't my choice. I didn't realize it was a conscious choice. It simply wasn't mine, because it was something that was ingrained and I accepted as my truth. And when I went back to look at it, I thought, that is not my truth. That is my mom's truth, my husband's truth, my father's truth. And if it's my truth, that's okay. But I need to recognize, yes, I believe that as well. Or I actually don't believe that. I came into that for another reason. But what is my real belief now about that? Or, you know, my changing belief, my growing belief, as I understand myself more. So yeah, all that kind of thing. But do we have a reading that we wanted to?
We do. I just wanted to say what you were talking about. It reminds me of Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements, that we make all these agreements that we have not made consciously. They're just handed to us.
Yes.
How important it is to ask those questions. Wait a minute, is this even mine?
Yeah.
It got handed to me, but is it even mine?
Sounds good, but let me just don't, just set that whole cloth here now. What's really me? Yeah, for sure.
So I was going to read a little excerpt from Pema Chodron's book, When Things Fall Apart. She says, generally speaking, we regard discomfort in any form as bad news. But for practitioners or spiritual warriors, feelings like disappointment, anger, fear, instead of being bad news, are actually very clear moments calling our attention. They teach us where it is we are holding back. They teach us to perk up and lean in when we feel we'd rather collapse and back away. They're like messengers that show us with terrifying clarity exactly where we're stuck. This very moment is the perfect teacher, and lucky for us, it is wherever we are.
Lucky
for us.
Just call me lucky.
For us.
Yeah.
So I read this brief before we started the show to see if that was if Pjae and Kim thought it'd be a good place. And Pjae said, yes, it pisses me off, so that's a good place to start.
Because
Look at your learning opportunity.
Yes,
Aren't
it
you
is.
having a lovely
Oh,
You are growing so beautifully. I can see you flowering right in front of me from this shit that got dumped on you.
yes, exactly. It's a load of crap. That's not that's a truth. But what has
Yeah.
happened is a load of crap has fallen on you, and I have to deal with the crap before I can actually see the flower growing out of it. Okay, come on now. I'm give myself. I think this is what this is about. It's we've just been crapped on for whatever reason. There's crap in our lives. Something has happened, and that is overwhelming, and that truth will arise, but not at the beginning. Not when it's been dumped on you. It's not going to happen. You need to deal with what's happening right then and there. And as you go through it, and as you recognize and realize and decide on how whatever it is you want to do, then that truth shows up as reality. We know that is true, but certainly not while you're going through it. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No.
And the more you practice in daily life, when the
Yes.
crap is small,
Yes.
the more you practice, wait a minute, I have a conscious choice, that
Correct.
the easier and sooner we can come to that,
Correct.
knowing that we can make a
Yeah.
choice about this, and
Right.
that it will grow us.
Right. It
Not
will.
necessarily want to grow in that way, but it'll grow us.
It will. It will. And clarify. It'll grow us and it clarifies us. It clarifies our thinking. It clarifies who we want to be in different situations, because you claim this is who you are. Well, are you? In
Yeah.
different situations. And I know that you guys know last month, whenever it was, we had the votes here, and I was off for that Tuesday to run the whole day of voting. And I said, when I came back from that, I said, I'm done. And the reason why I did it, because my civic duty, I love living in America and the right to vote, and certainly being Black, the right to vote, being a woman. These are big issues, and I really want to support that. And so I feel like voting is absolutely something you have to do, as a minimum you need to do, but to work at the booths. And so I said, I'm going to do that. That's all the big la that I had. But when I came back, I was like, never again. No. Oh my God, what was I thinking? But then they keep calling me and saying, "You sure? Are you sure you don't want?" Yes. And so I had to relook. So I didn't want to do it because I was afraid. I was afraid that I didn't know what I was doing, and that honestly, not afraid for what I can do what I'm going to do. Afraid that a vote would be lost because of me. I didn't want someone's vote to be lost. That was the fear. I didn't think I knew enough about how to do it. Well, I did. It turns out that I did. And so they keep calling me. And so I finally called them back and I said, okay, I don't want to do this. I'm telling you right now. I will do it. I feel like it's my civic duty, and I will do it. I don't want to. So call me if you need to. And of course they will, because they will. But knowing who I had to just go through that. No, I don't want to. It was a terrible thing. But I feel that is a value that I have. And everything that you value doesn't mean it's going to be easy to do. And standing up for the right to vote and doing my work in a precinct is part of what I feel like the very least I can do. It's how often do we do it? Like 4 years or however? Come on, Pjae, buck up, get it done. So it was a test for me of, is that who you really are? Are you going to do this or not? Yeah, it's who I am. It's what I believe. Yeah, and so I'm going to do it, even though I don't really want to. Yeah, but I need to, for me. Not for anybody else, for me. These are the things we get to choose, right? Yeah.
And for me, I always need to have the time, and because of my practice and so many fires to walk through in life, I now can get to the venting period and get through whatever tantrum I'm going to have so much more quickly now. So I know I need to go have a primal scream. Maybe I have a good talk, a good cry. Maybe I do have to talk to somebody and vent some feelings out. And then I have space and energy for whatever it is I believe I'm being called to, or at least to get to the point where I say, okay, I believe we have unlimited choices in life, and it's just me. I just need to use my imagination for that. But then I have the energy to just open my mind and say, okay, what do I want to choose now?
What do I want?
And what does that look like? And how am I going to step through this fire?
Yeah.
How am I going to walk it? What is it I believe about this? What is it I'm choosing at the end of the road?
Yes.
And again, this thing about stories, gosh, the last 2 weeks we talked about stories, but when we hear other people's stories and experiences, I decided I didn't want to know other people's stories and experiences. What I wanted to know is, what do I choose
Correct.
from this?
Yes.
What is the experience I want to have? And it's probably a lot different from other people's experiences, but I get to determine that.
Right.
Me and my God get to determine that. And so it's been and it often is a co-creation with spirit, my divinity with divinity, well, I guess with a capital D or in all caps. My individual divinity with that which is God consciousness, and then moving forward.
Yeah.
And creating something that may be very different, but it's what I want to do.
Correct.
Like you said, Pjae, this is what I need for me, because this is who I am now, or it's who I know I'm being called to.
Correct.
Because before the stuff hit the fan, I was thinking I was cool there, and I was.
Yeah. Right.
I was cool with that level of spiritual consciousness, but now I'm being called forth. And I'm like, oh, I think what I got in the arsenal right now is not quite enough.
Right.
I got to dig a little deeper.
Yes.
And what I hear here is about plugging in. When we think we're vessels, when we think this is how much energy I have, this is me, then we will run out. But when we understand that we have to stay plugged into source, then we have a flow of energy, and we still get to direct and use it how we want to. We can still not, we cannot turn it on. We can be plugged in and not use it, not turn it on. But when we know that we're plugged in, when we know that the power is available to us, and we make conscious choices about where we want to direct it, how we want to use it, then that's what that's where that growth is, that place where we get clarity.
Absolutely.
Even more than growth, it's about clarity.
Yeah,
Clarity. It's about clarity.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to tell a story. So you finish what you were talking about.
Well, I was as we were talking about this conversation, and I looked at some places in my life over the years where I was in overwhelm, and the thread that ran through it, all of it, always, is my connection with spirit. Just validating what we talked about. That is a thing that has, I just want to use the word, saved me from just going off the edge, from feeling like I had no choices. I didn't know who I was. People outside of me would be angry. All the things that we think is going to happen when we make choices for ourselves. And it was always the clear voice of God, Jesus, George is what I call the infinite that I speak with. All the clarity that comes through from George, and I know that, and that's the thing that I go back to every single time. And it was just really interesting to look through those different things from the age of 17, actually younger, but the 17-year-old, that was a big overwhelm that occurred. And I remember clearly the voice of God sharing with me what to do. And
sometimes it's the overwhelm that leads us there. Sometimes when life is simple, and that's what Pema Chodron is talking about. When it's easy, we tend to go, oh, I've got enough energy for that. I don't need to plug in. I got it. Thank you, God. I got it. But when the overwhelm happens is when we get hit with, oh, wait a minute.
Hang on.
I can either try to handle this on my own and do it miserably and kill myself over it, or I can plug in and realize I have lots and lots of choices.
Correct.
Yeah, because we're, a lot of times we are saying, yes, I got this. And life is going, do you?
Do you know?
Really? Think again, because I got something for you.
Let's see.
For you, sweetheart. It's coming down the pike right now. You'll be rethinking what you got.
Yeah.
So, do you?
Really?
Yeah.
This might be a good time to take our little commercial break.
All right.
Let's do that. We'll see you guys in a minute.
We're back. So I've been in a situation, where we talk all the time about what the things that the people who love me the most say often to me, are you taking care of yourself? Because they know that I'll get myself busy and then put myself on the back burner. And so I am busy a lot of the time. And then when something happens like Easter morning at 7:00, big service planned, all the stuff, my husband falls and breaks his femur high in the hip joint. And it was like, okay.
Working.
Yep. Everything got really clear though in that moment. It's okay. First of all, call 911. Second of all, start, get Sunday covered because you're not going to be there.
Right.
And get okay with that,
Get okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
And I was, pretty easily okay with that. And I've just been sort of contemplating these last 2 weeks where I've literally been living in the hospital most of the time, partly because the first little while, the first week and a half, he was either in enough pain or on enough drugs or because of underlying conditions, not cognitively able to remember that he couldn't just get up and walk.
Wow.
And so I was just terrified that he was going to get up. I mean, there's bed alarms, but you sit in a hospital, you hear a bed alarm ring for 5 minutes. You go, I wonder if anybody's going to go save that person, And so I chose not to leave him alone. That's been my choice for many years with loved ones in the hospital, is that I believe that you need an advocate there with you when you're in a position not to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I've been there, and I'm thinking, and so much of the day is just taken up, just doing whatever the next thing is, helping with therapy or helping with just whatever needs to be done there. And I think, so I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not doing my busy life while I'm doing, a lot of my busy life while I'm doing all this stuff. So what made me think my life was so busy? Or what am I not thinking about that's falling off the edge right now?
Yes.
And I think there's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of, okay, that's not my priority. So I can put that on the back burner. I can give it to someone else. I can postpone it. I can, and this is a new one for me, I can say, those people are handling it.
Okay. Delegation.
From how I would. And I can let them handle it.
Okay.
That's different for me. You're good at that. I'm not good at that.
Very good. I love it. I love it putting people, but I understand.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with saying, it is what it is, and really mean that. But yes, that is a big step for you. And I am seriously very proud of you.
Thank
I
you.
know what it takes. I know what it took. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It is. It was a big step for me. And maybe this is just how I needed to learn it, Maybe that took something like this, because I always, no, I can still, y'all do it. And then I'll edit it. Y'all do it. And then I'll give you approval, which means I'll rearrange the whole thing. Yeah. Just left it with y'all do it. And I can't say I haven't gone, but it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
There are very few things that are so important that they're going to alter the course
exactly
of a life or a ministry or, even a day.
And I'll share with you what made me, I think I was born that way, really. I'm more of a facilitator than a leader type. I don't need to do this. It's just facilitate what's there.
I'm more of a bossy person.
That's not the word I would use for you, but I definitely say a caring person. But what helped me with that was, I don't know why this hit me, and it just did, but what happens if you're not here tomorrow? What happens if you're not here tomorrow? You think those people are going to fall apart? Do you think that whole thing is going to go, or do you think it's going to keep going? It's going to keep going. The world is going to keep on turning. I don't know what made that. I think it might have been my sister passing away, just dropping dead with no problem at all. She just wasn't here. She was here one day. That was it. That's what woke me up to that.
Yeah.
I just thought, wait a minute. And her life goes, the life that she was surrounded by goes on. We're still here. Her students are still here. Everybody's still here but her. And so that's what made me think, what you're talking about is good because you're here and you're doing your part. But if you're not here to do your part, it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
So that just made me just relax a little more. Yeah.
Or some things will naturally fall away. And
They will naturally fall away.
And
Because
that's
it was you holding it together. But
yeah.
And if it doesn't continue, if it was only there because of all the energy that you're putting into it, then is that an appropriate use of your energy, perhaps?
Correct. Or it's just that was yours to do, and it was there while you were there. And once you're no longer there, it's not going to keep going because that was yours. It was yours, and all the people that gravitate towards you, want to be around you, are there with you on that. So that's what it means.
Yeah,
that's all it means. Yeah. So, but anyway, just maybe okay. You know what? They can do it. If they don't do it well. Wow. Yeah. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the thing about choice is if you make a decision and the decision doesn't work, you can make a different decision.
Every time.
Make a different choice.
Every time.
If it doesn't involve life, or if it doesn't involve birth or death.
You can make a different decision.
You can just make a different decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we do this all the time. So I was reading something about a book, and I didn't capture what the book's name was, but it was about just, I don't know if it's called letting go, but the idea was that we don't want to quit. Like we got something going and we don't want to say, all right, I need to let that go. It's no longer working for me. We just want to, because there's something in our psyche, in the U.S. psyche, I don't know if it's in the world psyche, but I know in the U.S., just you want to be successful. And success means getting the thing done, but it's never about letting stuff go. But sometimes you're just done with it. And you just keep on hanging out because we haven't made an exit strategy, but it's time to go. That certainly was the situation. This is the truth with my relationship with my husband. We ended it. I don't know where I was. I was definitely in my 50s. Could have been older, but we should have ended it when I was in my 40s, 10 or 15 years earlier. I was unwilling to let it go.
Yeah.
Marriage, that commitment, that vow, that meant a lot to me. And I'd already had a divorce. I did not want to be divorced twice. It wasn't about an ego thing. I just thought there's work to be done here. And as long as he was willing to continue to work, so was I. But he wasn't, not really. He's being nice and polite, but not actually doing the work that it takes. So, there were signs. Everybody knows that there are signs all along the way. Unwilling to let it go. So there you have it. And that's just.
And you learned you learned something, maybe a different set of things from staying in it than you would have learned from leaving it at that time.
I did.
But there's no point in regret because you were there. You did what you did.
I'm happy
for the choice you made. And
exactly. And I know once I finally left, I knew I was done. There was no regrets about, oh, did you leave too soon? Did you give it a chance? I did. I gave it everything I knew to give. And it just wasn't all on me. So I knew that. And I was good with it. I'm really good with it. But also going through that, because it was a long time they were married, there was a lot there was a lot of overwhelm just in terms of rediscovering who you are now. That was a different phase of my life I was going into that I wasn't prepared to go into. So, a lot to learn. Again,
I really do think that clarity and choice are two of the greatest gifts in life.
I'm telling you, so
clarity and choice, because even if you're in a bad or you're a difficult situation between a rock and a hard place, if you're clear about what that is and who you are, and you're not running from anything,
exactly.
Then I think you can find some peace at least with that.
Yes.
And say, I'm clear about what's happening.
Correct.
I'm right here. I'm saying, yes, I am fully in this.
Yes.
And then I think that's when choice opens up.
Yeah.
And the fact then that we can choose, okay, I can choose to stay here.
Right.
I can choose, I'm going to climb over one of these rocks, or I'm blasting through this rock in a hard place.
Right.
I'm going to blast through the hard place, but I have a choice. Or I can sit here and pray and decide I'm going to sit in the hard place between that and the rock for as long as I want to. And that too is a choice.
It is a choice.
And if we can find peace with that, then that's good. So there are a lot of gifts in life, but I really do think clarity and choice are two of the biggest for me in my life.
Absolutely.
And my spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah. Spirituality, absolutely number one. I mean, I can't. That's
what gives you clarity and choice.
exactly that infinite knowing, that infinite intelligence, that wisdom, that peace throughout the process. That peace was always there. Sitting in meditation in the morning with George, that was a beautiful time. A beautiful time. It always is. And so having that peace, and I love that you said that whole clarity and choice. Absolutely. I think also the what is the courage to actually go within and say, what is yours? What have you done? What is it that you can do? And sometimes we simply don't want to look at ourselves. We don't, because there's things we're gonna find.
or what is mine to do? We don't want to we're still trying to do what it's theirs to do.
Right.
Because we don't want to let go of our illusions about who they are to us, or what this is that we're in.
Correct.
And
I love that.
Clear about, wait a minute,
what's really happening here?
I have to do what's mine to do, but I'm not here to do all the work.
Nope.
I'm not here to try to figure out what your work is. And if I'm doing that, then I'm wasting my energy, and I am perhaps robbing you of your dignity by trying to do something for you that you can and should do for yourself.
Absolutely.
Or at least have the choice whether or not to do for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's a big thing for me to learn.
Huge.
Yeah, a lot of those illusions we might have about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How strong was I in my spirituality? Do I really believe what I say I believe?
Right.
Because this is where the rubbers meet in the road, right here. And so if that's true, then, okay, yeah, I'm a different kind of spiritual warrior right now.
Right.
I am. And so one of the things that reminds me of this infinite power is I go back, and I've done this for a number of years, that the same force that created the heavens and the earth and all of life is the power that I have access to. And so when I'm thinking about, is this just a facet of my life and how big is this? And I think, all right, if this same power that is me created the heavens and earth, then this thing right here is really small.
It is.
It is really small.
It is.
And that I can bring that full power to this thing.
Yep.
And I go back to instances where I know I trusted spiritual principle and it worked.
Absolutely.
And if it's principle, then it works all the time, which means it's got to work right now.
Correct.
So I need to move forward in that belief.
Yes.
Saying
just because I can't figure it out, doesn't mean it can't happen. That's the whole point, is that if spirit's in it and I'm allowing God to be God in me, then I don't have to figure it out.
That's right.
Yeah, I have to trust it.
I do have to trust it. And the thing is, and another thing, there's so many things involved in that. But the thing is there's the timing involved. There's a time for all of it. The whole process is we want to rob ourselves of the process. Like I want to get on with the answers. I want to get on with it. Well, you know what? There's some grief involved. There's some anger involved. There all those things, and you got to feel what you're feeling and be there. That process isn't going to be rushed. And who knows how much anger, how much grief you have during this overwhelmed process, and let that be what it is. Do what you do when whatever the process that you have of dealing with your grief, handling your grief, feeling the grief, numbing the grief, whatever you're doing, that has to happen until that's done. And then there's a whole other, all the things are going forward. So, and not until all those things have happened, then we finally come through and go, okay, and Spirit's been there the whole time. I'm ready.
And I'm glad that you said that, because there's it's easy, I think, for ministers or for anybody on the spiritual path to should on ourselves a little bit.
Absolutely.
Like, I should be handling this a lot better than I am.
Exactly.
A spiritual person.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's both. It's, we talked about when we were talking about this subject about diving deep, when it comes down to it, taking a little deeper dive.
Yes.
And yes, we want to dive deep rather than run,
Right. We don't want to do that.
Take off and run. There's a cartoon, a comic in the newspaper, I think today, where they go to the big wise, they call it the wise ass on the hill. And, and he says, what is the secret to a happy life? And he said, take all of your troubles, put them in one place, and then run. Like, No, none of that's, we're not going to grow if we continue to run. That's what addiction is. That's what, avoidant behavior. But it doesn't mean that it's not okay to escape consciously. And that's the difference, is I'm not just feeding an addiction. I'm going, you know what, right now, what I need is to watch a movie that I know the ending is happy, because I just need that comfort right now.
Exactly. Just know what you need for now.
What I need is to go buy Dairy Queen and buy a Blizzard.
Okay. I need a Blizzard.
If I was doing it every day, not so good. But if I, decide, okay, today,
yeah,
I'm going to do that.
Exactly. And maybe today it stretches out to 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, who cares?
Right.
It is what it is. That's the thing. It is what it is. And you can't rush it, no matter how much you want to be on the other side. Okay? No matter how much you want to be on the other side, you are where you are. So be there. Be here now. Just be here. And know this is going to evolve out. Just trust that. And if you've gone through this process, which I don't know anyone who's over 17 years old or 18 years old hasn't gone through this process of overwhelm and trying to figure out who they are and having some disappointments and all, who hasn't gone through this process, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. You can't rush yourself through any piece of it. And there's no saying, well, it's been 5 days. That's enough. Has it?
Yeah.
Has it? Is that what's inside of you saying? What your inner self needs? What comfort it needs? But it is what it is. And when you're on the other side, when you're through the next process, you'll know it. You'll be ready to get up and do something, move out. Something comes to you. You're hearing things. But in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
That is.
I'm becoming acquainted with this space where you can be in both camps at the same time, that I can be moving forward boldly, courageously, in my full spiritual power. And there are moments when I've got tears as well, where I'm mourning what was, where I'm feeling some sadness, where I'm still sometimes feeling a bit of heaviness.
Yes.
And tears come up. And so it doesn't mean I'm not going through this courageously. It just means all of me is present right now. And I'm willing to be all of me in this moment.
Exactly.
And it just reminds me that life is often bittersweet.
Yes.
Moments are often bittersweet, but it doesn't mean you're not doing a great job at this or that you're not moving forward. It just means that we carry, all of us, and I am willing to carry all of me forward.
I love that.
And so I can walk boldly and have tears.
Yes.
And have tears. Yeah. Absolutely. And honor that side of me that still says, wow, yeah, this is a lot. And I've got it.
Yes, and I've got it.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I've got this.
And I've got it.
And be in full power with tears in my eyes.
Yes.
Streaming down my face.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a new experience. And I find it comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't have to hide it. I'm not afraid to show it to people.
Yes.
Because I think it is how life really shows up.
It does. And we just have this illusion that as spiritual leader, we're supposed to show up in some different way than they have to show up. I'm going to show up exactly the way life is and show. And so through my learning process, able to share a reality with them of how it is all good and how we are good and loved and all of those things and human as well. And yes, we have a grandchild that has cancer, and we have divorces, and we have illness, and we have a friend dying of cancer. We have all kinds of things going on, and still we have choices to make. We have grievings, we have lovings, we have a whole life filled with life. And as my friends always say, life be lifing. It doesn't.
I love that.
Okay, it'd be lifing. It doesn't.
Life be lifing.
Be lifing. It doesn't stop. So.
Yeah, right here. So we're about at time for another break. Shall we?
My goodness.
Shall we take one and come back in a minute?
Surely.
All right.
Life be lifing.
Yes, it does. It stops for no man. It stops for no man.
So one of the things I've been doing at the hospital, because one of the things I completely lack is privacy at any given moment. Not even in the middle of the night, people are just busting in all the time.
Okay. Got it.
But so it's been difficult for me to do a more formalized meditation. But I have this book that is just it's been one of my favorite ones for years, that has prayers from all different religions and wisdom traditions. And I just take it and I just open it and I read it. I take it in, I let it sit with me. I see how it applies, because it always does.
Always. It wouldn't be shown to you if it didn't.
Yeah, exactly. That it could be the wildest, like, what? Oh, okay, I see.
Okay.
Oh, I am that. Okay, I get it.
Fine.
And so that's one of the things that's like really present for me now, is that I take the moments of quiet that I can get. I may not be able to set a timer and have, beautiful sounds of water dripping in the background and take a whole 30 minutes or whatever, but I can take the moments of quiet when they're here and be appreciative and be conscious.
Yes.
Conscious.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the whole thing, is doing it consciously rather than just going through it unconsciously. And so I was just thinking that, what have I been doing? Because I have been in overwhelm. Yeah. And I just want to hear what's your when you are feeling overwhelmed, like when life be life and right in your face, what's your go-to? What's your thing that you do?
Absolutely. I mean, even when I'm talking to myself and I'm giving myself mixed messages, and I was in the car yesterday or on Sunday and said the same thing. And I said all the time, I just go, okay, so Spirit, what is it? What is it? I'm just, because there's too much going on. So my go-to is always that is going to get clarity from Spirit. What's mine to do here? And I shared with you guys, this thing, but my son and I were estranged for the longest time. And you always think as a mom that you can fix this. You can go and you can talk with them and you can share. But what you don't know is whatever's on their hearts. It doesn't necessarily have to do with you. It really doesn't. It has to do with any other number of things that are going on in their lives. And so I was praying to God, wanting my son and I to get back together. And I simply asked that question in meditation: what is mine to do? And the clearest, simplest answer came to me, and it said, nothing. Really so unacceptable to a mom.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. And so Spirit said, yeah, it's not yours to do. This isn't your work. It's his work. So you've done all you can do. And to hear that, and then to follow that. So there's another thing. I ask, and I know I'm comforted. That's my go-to wisdom, is to ask for that knowing within me.
Clarity.
I don't always like the answer, because I want it to be my answer, not the true answer. But I know the true answer is the one I just heard. So I got to go with that. So for the next 2 years, I think, I did not call my son. I didn't call, write, talk, nothing. And I had to be, because I didn't know whether it was going to be resolved or not. Spirit didn't say it's going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Didn't say that. Just said nothing for you to do. So I held her that. I said, I'm not going to do anything. And then that was in 2016. Then in that was in 2014. Then 2016, my son called me. He called me. And that was the beginning. That was just the beginning. We had a big celebration. We were celebrating another kid in my grandson, his nephew, graduating. We all loved, and so we just all went out to California to celebrate his graduation. And my son and I met up and spoke there. And we've been having some back and forth things since then, back and forth. But he's finally moved to Texas, and we had a luncheon a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Mom, let's just meet up on a regular basis. Let's have lunch. Let's do something, you and me, and let's just talk." And he shared so much stuff with me. This is a prayer answered, a long time coming. But the bottom line What is my go-to thing? Asking infinite within me, and then following,
And then listening to
and
it.
then listening and following,
Yeah.
letting go of what my expectations, and that even that prayer is even going to be answered in the way that I want it to be. I had to let it go. So that's my go-to. Let
So
it go.
Kim, what's yours?
Mine first is to vent whatever emotion I have, because I can be highly emotional.
Yeah.
And so I have some strategies for venting my emotion. I do that first. And that immediately moves me to clarity. And then I just kind of sit with things. And I do ask myself now, what do I really want to choose in this situation? And how big and how little is it for me? And that I do have the power of the universe behind me. Well, more than just behind me, it is me.
Yes.
And how do I want to step up now? How do I step forward now? And I really have learned, especially in the last 6 months or so, to figure out, once I'm clear about what I need and what I want, to communicate that to people.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
to know who those people are, and to be able to say, this is how I'm working forward with this. And if you're going to be on my team, then I need you to agree to this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, that's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
But this is what I need.
Right. Yeah.
And it's been interesting how people respond to stuff like that. And I have found, though, if you really come from your heart and you're authentic with it, and you are inviting people in if they choose to be a part, then they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are. And they're very, very willing. And sometimes it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, okay, that's all I have to do? Yeah, that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've named two things that I think are significant: heart and authenticity, and that people can see it, they feel it, they know that you're speaking from a heartfelt place. So.
Yeah, and they know where you are, and they get to experience you perhaps in a different way than they have before. But they go, oh, this is real.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think that may give them permission to step up differently.
Yeah.
And they can do it or not. And I'm not mad if you don't want to.
Exactly. Not mad at all.
Because it was for years I would get mad. Oh, you don't want to walk this my way? Then, I'm out. But now I'm okay to say, okay, that's fine. I get it. Because there's sometimes I have to say no to stuff. Saying no is very valuable and necessary at times. So I do that. And then I venture into sometimes I have to pull up some affirmations. I have more than I thought I had, because and then if I need to make up a new one,
okay,
I do. Or I consider all affirmations living documents.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I get to change them, reword them.
Yep.
Put some other things in there, take some stuff out, because I say, okay, that's not quite resonating with this instance. But again, I have a choice. I can say whatever the heck I want that speaks to my heart and enables me to be courageous and confident about how I'm moving forward. Yeah. And I might only know the next step. I'm also cool with that, because I used to need the whole roadmap.
Lay it out.
Yeah. Lay it out. I got to know from now to the next 5 years on that. Now I just figure, heck, if you can get me through the next 5 minutes, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. And then after that, you give me another one, because sometimes I think what's down the road a month or two is a little scary. And if I knew, I wouldn't want to go there.
I want to keep going that direction. I think that's exactly how spirit works.
I'm cool with one step. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
And I know that the one step will prepare me for step number 3, 4, and 5, and 6.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly.
But yeah, don't overwhelm me, George. Calm down. Just give me one. Calm down, George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then follow that, the one, and I'm following it. So why would I give you more than one? More than you hardly
follow the one I gave you.
You're arguing with me about that. So I'm not.
Yeah. But I think the hardest one for me has been when I hear do nothing.
Oh my stars. I'm
do
sorry.
nothing.
What? Yeah.
Because that's always been huge for me. And I'm more comfortable with it now, and sometimes relieved to say, oh, this isn't mine right now. But what's mine is the nothing. Do nothing. Right. Just do what you do. Right. And I'll let you know when it's time for you to step in with something.
Okay. Exactly. It's like, all right then. Fine.
All right.
Fine.
Because the universe sometimes has to work, do its thing.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And maybe we need to marinate in some things or grow a little bit. I did when I was estranged from my brother. I needed to grow into that because in the beginning, I was still coming at him with strings attached. And in that do nothing, it actually was nothing. It was me softening such that when I did get in touch with him a few years later, I was there with an open heart. And what I really wanted to know was how can I help you? What was this like for you? It was not about me.
It was sincerely. You weren't, you know, it was a sincere, that's
Yeah.
really what I wanted to know. Yeah.
And that changed everything for us, but it took me a few years to get there.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think the manifestation process, you know, we're praying and all of that, but and everything's happened already in the spiritual world, but things got to move around on the physical plane before it actually manifests
Yeah.
here. So yeah, correct. What about you?
Shorthand for me that covers kind of all of this that we've been talking about. It's a mantra I use when the chips are down and I can't hear anything except the voices in my head that are going, oh no, oh no, oh no, this is disastrous, you know?
Yes.
Is let go and let God. Let go means you're trying to direct this thing and it ain't yours to direct.
Okay.
And let God means the universe is working on it. And when it's time for you to do something, you'll know.
Okay.
You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know.
Yes.
And, you know, just walking in this process with my husband where they're rehabbing his hip, but they're doing zero, big goose egg, to find out why he fell in the first place.
Really?
Zero.
Wow.
There's a neurologist that works there. He's a specialist in neuromuscular things. I was so excited to get there, and he won't even talk about it. No, we're here to rehab his hip.
Mm.
And so I've been at first, okay, y'all know me. I was like, nuh-uh.
No, baby.
Who do I need to talk to next?
That's not the answer I was looking for from you.
And I talked to the next person. And it's funny because I didn't even seek them out. They came in and said, so how are things going? It's like, well, interestingly, since you asked, here's what's going on. And I'm concerned about it. And it troubles me because you're going to rehab his hip and then he's going to go home and fall again. So how have you done your job?
Right. Right.
And then someone else comes in and someone else comes in. And what I realized is all these people come in to check with me. It's because they don't want me to give them a 0 on their survey at the end of this deal.
Correct.
They
didn't really want to hear
very concerned.
Yeah.
And so, but they're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. They're not doing anything and they're not going to do anything. The philosophy of this hospital is we rehab you for this one acute thing that we're looking at right now, and we don't care about the rest. And that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. That should change. But I realized me spending more energy to try to change something that's not changing is not a good use of my energy. And me staying mad is not a good use of my energy. And me crying over it in frustration is not a good use of my energy.
Correct.
And so I had this attitude adjustment of, okay, you're trying to get them to do what you think is right. I still think it's right.
Yeah.
But I have the power to get them to do it.
Yeah.
If they don't want to do it.
And
so what power do I have? And where do I put that power?
Love it.
And and I'm getting some answers around that.
You are.
Where do I put that power? And it's not there. Was it oh, if you find yourself on a dead horse, dismount. Remember that?
Martha Creek.
Martha
Creek. Uh-huh.
If you find yourself on a dead horse, dismount.
Just in her little Tennessee accent, I loved it. Honey, if you're on a dead horse,
dismount.
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 Dismount. You know? Just get off it. Yeah.
Best advice ever.
I had this clarity that I'm on a dead horse here.
Yeah.
There are live horses. I have to find them.
Okay.
And I'm
they are out there.
And I'm asking to be led to them.
Exactly.
And trusting.
Yes.
That's the hard part. Trusting that I will be. Because when I say the word trust, I feel tears come to my eyes. It's like, yes, I do trust it. But also, I want to make it happen. I want to fix it.
Yes.
Melinda's the fix it girl.
I understand.
But you know what? I don't have the power to fix it. I do not. I do not. I do not. I do have the power to be consistent and persistent in
Yes.
pursuing what I think is right and keeping my mind open to what that is. Because
Right.
maybe I'm not right about everything.
What? Hang on.
Surely not.
Wait a minute.
I think I just saw pigs flying. That's my window. Pigs flying.
What?
What?
What? Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I often flip that let go and let God to let God and let go.
Let God and let
Sometimes
Oh,
I
like
got to get away from Kim
yes.
and say, okay, I need to take this to infinite power,
Yeah.
and then I can let go, because I'm firmly in that Kim's going to do this,
Right.
Yeah.
because I always do, and I know how.
Okay.
So
And I can depend on me.
I've
Yeah.
done it before.
Somebody
I'll
at this
do it again.
rehab center is going to figure this out,
Okay.
and I'm not leaving here till they do. And sometimes I just have to say, oh, okay,
Okay.
slow your roll. And this is for infinite power. So I got to let God go. I got to let God first.
And there's a message there. There's a message there we're not hearing or seeing, because we're just busy doing our part. But to
Yeah.
me, when I'm doing my part and it's not moving, then it's okay. Is this my part? Whose part is it? Is it for me to do? Is it the patient themselves? Whose job is this? I'm pushing at something that really isn't mine. Because even if you get it, is it something that Bob's going to do? That Bob's going to even care about? That's something you care about. But does he? You know
He
what I mean?
does.
Okay.
But you're right. I have to keep asking that question
all the time.
because the answer changes.
I'm sure it does. And you're
sometimes I'm just wanting my Shirley MacLaine moment.
I know. Give her the medicine. Yeah.
One of the best moments in movies.
It
Yeah,
is.
it
It is.
I
And I
watched
had
it
that
again and
moment. I had that moment advocating for my dad
Absolutely.
several times over
And
the
that's the
years.
thing. You are an advocate. You're an advocate for the people you love.
Yeah,
Sure,
but is this my moment, and am I doing that because it really is the indicated thing, or am I doing it because, well, it worked once?
Yeah. Is this the way to go?
Yeah.
Right.
Or am
And-
I doing it for ego reasons? I can make this happen. I
Okay.
can make this happen.
Right. Right.
Got to ask those questions.
You do.
Hard
You
questions.
really do. You really do. So, back to summarizing what we're talking about, just what do we do? How do we move from overwhelm to, what was our thing? From overwhelm to choice, conscious choice.
Conscious choice.
Overwhelm to conscious choice. Sometimes you're simply in the overwhelm. You got to let yourself be in it. It is what it is. It's an overwhelming situation. And once it begins to calm a little, the immediacy of it comes away, then we have these conscious choices we get to make.
And just allowing ourselves to be in it
And
is
that
a
is
choice.
Exactly.
And it takes so much of the pressure off that then we're able to hear
Exactly.
when something comes through.
Correct.
Whereas if we're like resisting it, fighting it, like Kim was talking about earlier, just fighting it. When you're fighting it, that takes so much energy.
It does.
And so just getting to that, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Here I am. It's happening again.
Yeah.
Can take a lot of the pressure off and allow our energy to almost immediately be better. That's a letting go in itself. I'm not going to try to make myself feel differently from how I feel, and that frees up a lot of energy immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's probably my last thought is really that I can move forward boldly and with strength and still have tears in my eyes and let them just roll. So the journey is often bittersweet, and that's okay. And that's probably the reality of the situation with so much in life. And to let yourself be that doesn't mean you're weak.
No,
It
not at all.
means you're real.
Not at all.
It means you're real.
And I
Exactly.
think
People
it
tell me,
enables you to
"Oh, I'm
walk more authentically. Yes.
When people around me say I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry. I'm like,
Why?
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 Yeah.
Because if you're feeling the need to cry, that probably means you need to cry.
How about that?
Kind of. Yeah.
So I don't try to stop myself from
Yeah.
feeling my feelings at all.
Yeah.
But I
And-
do try to go, wait a minute. I ask the question. For me, it's ask the question.
Yeah.
What is your role here?
Right.
Who are you really, and who are you trying to be?
Exactly.
Are
The
you
thing-
showing up as who you think you are?
that part? And the thing is, we've been through this before. You've been through this before. So look to your past for answers to your present. Just look to the past. You know how to do this. You know how to do it. You're an adult. You've done this before. You know how. You know how.
I think that's a strong and I think we can say and Scene.
Scene.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank
See you
you for
next
those who
week.
commented. Appreciate you so much.